rider's body is the beginning of everything. The rider has to be able to move the different parts where they want it to be. And I always start, when I correct the rider's seat, from the middle part of the rider, because that is the part that always influences the horses. If the rider is sitting crookedly, for instance, hanging over to the right side, he will always ask the horse to go to the right, because the horse doesn't want to be unbalanced. So if the rider is hanging on the right side, he will start to go to the right to get the rider more in the middle of himself. Then most riders don't even feel that they sit crookedly. And then they start to steer the horse with the left rein and the right leg. And then maybe the horse goes on the straight line, but maybe he goes on the straight line, but he's still, the rider at that moment has already used 3 of his biggest aids, and that's the weight aid, the steering rein, and the pushing leg. Instead of really being able to sit still and just go with the horse and let the horse find his own balance. You can change rein in between. So you probably many times have heard that use more back, be stronger in your back, ride more with your back. And even if the back is important, it's even more important with the muscles in the tummy. If somebody of you have had troubles with your back, having back pain, for instance, then maybe you have gone to a physiotherapist and you have had to train your tummy muscles to get stronger in the tummy so that that can release your back. And that's really, I think, one of the biggest problems in riding, that people say ride more with your back and they start to hollow the back or get round in the back instead of getting strong in the front of the rider. If you look at those 2 riders here, you can sit down in trot once. You can just sit down. And if you look first at the grey horse with Chris, her middle part is quite nice in the middle of the horse. Her leg position is also quite nice. When we are talking dressage, we are talking about the different lines. You have the shoulder, hip, heel line, and then you have the elbow, rein to the horse's mouth. That should be a straight line also. And then you also have the knee and the toe that should be in the same line. I think Chris has a nice middle part. She's moving well with the horse, and she also has a nice leg. What we are going to work with Chris on is a little bit her upper body. She gets a bit stiff in her elbows, they get a bit drawn up, and she has like her center of gravity a little bit too much up. Then if we look at Jennifer, she is a bit weaker still in her seat. That's also comes with age and comes with more riding training. If you train in the right way, then you will get stronger. And stronger, I don't mean that you can squeeze harder or pull harder. We have a connection problem. Or pull harder. It's just that you have to be more steady in the body. Otherwise, it sits quite well in the middle of the horse. We would like her leg, if you look at her knee, it's going a little bit too much forward, and she is almost, the lower leg goes also a little bit forward. So she is a little bit in the position of hanging on to the reins, a little bit like when you are surfing. You hang on to the rein and then suddenly, or to the lead, and then suddenly if the boat stops and if the horse stops, then you will fall over into the water. You can say that the seat and position is absolutely the basic for everything. And unfortunately, in riding, we haven't been good enough to explain that, and to explain that to the riders and to the kids in the riding school, and maybe also to the riding teachers. But we really want to make the riders sit as well as possible. You have to be able to be relaxed in your muscles without getting floppy, and you have to get strong in the muscles without getting tense, and that's maybe the hardest part. If you go back to Jennifer, I said that her middle part, I would start with her to get her tummy a bit stronger. And then I would go on correcting her leg position and her upper body position.